Today's webinar, we're going to go through making the most of TD Snap, the core first page set, and just what we're going to cover. We're going to cover three kind of small areas today. I'll give you resources towards the end as well of other areas, and we will be holding more TD Snap webinars in the future as well. So we're going to kind of touch on editing 101, skills to get you started, know how to basically put TD Snap into dedicated communication mode, and also just show you the whiteboard and how to add it to any page set. It is on the aphasia-based page set, but it can be a page set that you can add to your symbol-based page set, or alternatively the text-based page set as well. So I'll show you that in a while. Okay. So for anyone who I suppose is new, I can see there's a few names here now at the webinar today. If you're not familiar with myself, my name is Michael Braswell. I'm with the company roughly around 6 years with Safe Care Technologies, and I will be the assistive technology specialist for Safe Care Technologies. So the company itself, for anyone who might not be familiar with ourselves, we are Safe Care Technologies, and we are an assistive technology company. We provide novel assistive, different types of, I suppose, assistive technology to people who require them. So we provide AAC communication devices. We provide assistive technology, for example, switches and joysticks. And we provide multi-sensory room, the SHX multi-sensory room, which is a technology room. The cognition products, which basically are scheduling and cognition products, so like timing products and scheduling devices and clocks and so on and so forth. And also environmental control products, for example, controlling your windows, your doors, your blinds, and so on and so forth, using, alternative access methods. It could be a joystick, it could be a switch, or even could be your AAC device as well. So the environmental control in that sense as well. Okay, so some of the companies that we do work with, you'll see here. So we work with Readapt, so we provide mounting solutions, for example, wheelchair mounts, floor mounts, table clamps, bed mounts, and so on and so forth. We provide switches and joysticks with AbleNet and also Praetorian as well. And we work with BJ Live, who are now renamed Conera, for the multi-sensory room. So we provide the SHX system, and we also work with them for the environmental control side of things. And also we work with the BDF for environmental control, but also for the scheduling and the cognition products, our cognitive products as well. So that's just a little bit about ourselves and just the companies we work with. If anyone has any questions in relation to any of the other areas that we do work with, if you want, you can ask questions towards the end, or you can just drop me a line as well. We will be sending out an email after this webinar, basically just a follow-up. So if you do have any questions, you can always reply to that one as well. Okay, so firstly, we're going to go through, and what I'll do is I'm just going to have a quick slide on each one and just to, I suppose, talk about it a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'm going to open up TD Snap. We're going to go into TD Snap, and I'm going to show you a live demo. Then basically just kind of go through the steps of how to edit your buttons, for example, how to put on the whiteboard, and also how to put your device into dedicated communication mode. So firstly, in relation to editing 101, just the skills to get you started with TD Snap, we're going to talk about editing buttons, adding text to a button, changing the symbols on the button, adding your own image, changing the message, and even hiding a button as well. Okay, so there's just kind of a screenshot just to give you an idea of what the user face looks like. And you will also, I suppose, when you see that in a while, you'll see it on TD Snap, but also we'll be sharing the video as well, so you'll get to see this picture as well. The whiteboard as well. So this is just a quick glimpse of a screenshot of the whiteboard. You can see it's used for communication. It's an alternative way of using it for communication. It's got visual and text aids, and you can add your own images and change the font colors as well. So you see in this particular instance here, talking about snow, and maybe that it was snowing for 3 days, for example. Then we've got the dedicated communication software. As I mentioned, we'll talk to you how to, I suppose, make your software dedicated communication, no matter what the device. So it could be a Windows device or an iOS device. It could be one of our AAC devices, and I'll talk to you in more detail about them. And also, if you have an iPad and you just have the software, how to put this into dedicated communication as well. Okay. So, yeah, let's take a look. So I'm just going to open up TD Snap here now, and we'll go through that there. So it's just opening there now. I'm just going to switch it over onto the screen. So hopefully now you'll all be able to see TD Snap. So I'm going to first of all go through, I suppose, the editing of the buttons and just talk to you about how to edit the buttons, how to add your own images, how to change the message around, and so on and so forth. And then I'll show you how to do the whiteboard. So I'm just going to quickly go in here now to the settings, change over the page set to a new page set. Or first, and we have 8. Okay. So here we have our page set up. So for anyone who I suppose isn't too familiar with TD Snap, or is just seeing it for the first time, and for those of you who are I suppose familiar enough with it, just to kind of I suppose describe anyway, this is the home page, and when we open up TD Snap, it generally opens up on the home page, which is your core words. So the core words you'll see are those sentence building words. So they're where we combine words to create those sentences. Okay. So generally when I'm doing any editing, I either pop into the personal folder, which you'll see over on the right-hand side in the pink section, or even in the topics folder, which is on the left-hand side, the orange section. So when you are editing buttons, it doesn't actually, I suppose, matter where you put the buttons really, in a sense. Like it's said not to put them in the core words, but you might be adding in new quick fires, for example, quick responses to a question like yes or no or good or bad. They generally could go in the quick fires. Topics are very situational, so we can put them in the topic section. For example, going to the dentist, it's a specific time, specific situation. So you might have that in the topic section. But then you might have more personal things in your personal folder here on the right-hand side. And over on the top right-hand corner, you've also got all words list. So here we have some categories as well, everything from actions to sexuality. So again, we might be adding in some of those as well. We can edit those existing ones or add your own new ones. So the great thing about the software is it's completely customizable. No matter where you are in the software, you can add, remove, edit, delete any button at all anywhere in the software. But as I said, I generally kind of tend to either go to the personal folder or the topics folder just when I'm doing these training sessions. So I'm going to jump in now to the personal folder. So I'm going to go back to core words, and over on the personal folder on the right-hand side, I'm going to click into that. So I kind of always advise people, when you are doing any editing of any buttons, the first step is kind of, I suppose, well, think about what you're adding is the first thing to do. So you kind of think about maybe it's food and drink items I'm adding. So I'll go to the food and drink folder, for example, okay, and add the topics or the buttons into that folder, for example. Okay, in this case, I'm just going to use a blank one because I'm just going to use kind of random objects. Okay, and all we have to do when we're editing buttons is go to the page we want to edit. Okay, so if it was food and drink, we might be going to the food and drink, as I said. If it's a topic, we go to the topic section. But here I'm just going to the personal folder. So I click on personal, and then I'm in that page. That's my first step. My second step is very simply up the very top right-hand corner, click the settings cog with the pencil. That's your settings cog. That's your button to get into your edit mode. So if we click on that button, that then gives us the word done up the top right-hand corner. It gives us a gray bar down the bottom that says button, page set, user, and system. And a gray bar on the right-hand side that has loads of boxes with ticks, an eye with a line through it, and a trash can, as you can see as well. So we're now in edit mode, okay? So that was step 2, basically. So the first step, as I mentioned, go to the page you want to edit. The second step, press the settings cog with the pencil. The third step then is very simply press the button that you want to edit. So we're just going to basically select one of the blank buttons here. So I'm going to press one of those buttons. That's step 3 done. Okay, now before I go on to step 4, just to describe what happened there. When I pressed the button in step 3, we got this gray section pop up. It's got label, message, and no symbol. And what this is the content of your button. The content of your button is basically the information you're going to put in what the button will display. So it's broken up into 3 different sections. We've got our label, we've got our message, and we got our symbol. So the label is the writing that you see on the button. So you'll see some buttons already on my screen, like core words, quick fires, topics, family names, friends, favorite films and TV, and so on. That's your label. That's the writing you see on the button. The message is what the button will speak. So when we press the button, what it will say. And the symbol is the symbol that will be displayed when we type in our label. So I'm just going to click into label, and I'm going to type in Apple. Okay. So all I did here was on step 4, typing in a label. When I typed in a label, you see the message also says Apple. And you'll see over on the left-hand side, we've got the symbol of the apple, the red apple here. So automatically, it'll default and it'll show me up that red apple. Okay, it'll show me up the most generic PCS symbol related to that particular word, which has been done here. And very simply, when I finish that, step 5, the last step is just to press done up the top right-hand corner, and that will bring you back to communication mode. So again, done. Okay, and then we're complete, we're finished. So all I have to do now is press the button that I edited, Apple, when I'm in communication mode.
Apple.
And it speaks for me. Okay, so that's how easy it is. It's a 5-step process when we're editing our buttons. So again, we go to the page we want to edit, step 1. We click on the settings cog with the pencil, step 2. We click on the button we want to edit, step 3. Okay, and then we type in our label, step 4. So this time, I'm going to type in my own name, Michael. Okay, so when I type in Michael Jackson pops up. That's obviously not me, so we might need to change that basically, okay? So to change that from one symbol to another in the symbol library, all we have to do is click on the image you'll see here of Michael Jackson, which is left of label and message. Click on that, and that gives us our options of, in the symbol library, everything that relates to Michael. So in this case here, we've got Michael D. Higgins, Michael Collins, Michael Flatley. Maybe we're talking about one of them, okay? Or maybe we're not. To simply change the symbol to another one, for example, Michael D. Higgins here, I just click on Michael D. Higgins, okay? Press done, and that changes the symbol over to the other symbol for me. So very simply, we changed over the symbol there. And again, if we're finished, we just very simply press done up the top right-hand corner again. And here we have our symbol of Michael D. Higgins.
Michael.
Okay, so that's how we would change it to the different symbol. Now, let's say, for example, we want to use our own image. We want to take a photo or use a photo that's already in the photo library. All we have to do is, again, go back into our settings cog with the pencil up the top right-hand corner. Click on the button we want to edit. Again, clicking on Michael, okay? And this time, below the symbol, we've got a camera icon. So if I click on the camera icon, I have 2 options here. I have from camera and I have from photo library. So from camera means I basically can open up the camera on my device and take the photo, okay? Now I can't do that today because I'm on my webcam at the moment. The other option then is from photo library. So maybe I already have that photo saved to myself. I can go to photo library. Then what I can do is select the photo I want to use. Let's select this one, okay? And that very simply changes the symbol or the image over to my image then. So again, last step, pressing done up the top right-hand corner. And here we have our button.
Michael.
Okay, so that is how we would change that to our own image. The next thing I want to show you is, let's say, for example, we want to put a message in a button. Okay, so again, we're going to do the same steps as last time. We're going to click the settings cog with the pencil. We're going to click the blank button we want to edit. And now we're going to type in a new label. So I'm just going to type in grapes. Okay. Again, we have our symbol of our grapes, our label of grapes, and the message. So I want to show you the message. It's slightly grayed out here at the moment, and it says grapes. That means if I press done here and I press the button, it's going to speak grapes. But let's say, for example, we want it to be a sentence. So like in the topic section, it's all based around phrases. Maybe you want to have a phrase or a sentence rather than just having the word. I can simply click into our messages and then type in my own message. So I want some grapes, please. Okay, just type in my message here. And then again, very simply press done up the top right-hand corner when we're finished editing. And now when I press my button this time,
I want some grapes, please.
I want some grapes, please, it says. Okay, so that is how we would add in a phrase or a sentence. If we want to revert back to just the word, all we have to do again, back into the settings again, select grapes, down to message, highlight message, and delete. Okay, the minute I delete, I don't have to type in grapes again. It's there for me already. So all I have to do is press done.
Grapes.
And we're back to just the word grapes. Okay. So that is how we would edit those buttons. Okay. And that is how we add in our label. That is how we add in our message. And that is how we add in our own different symbols, on the symbol library, and also our own image. Now, what I'm going to show you next is the whiteboard, okay? So the whiteboard, we can add that into any page set, as I said, and that could be added in anywhere as well. So that is basically just a button or a topic that opens up a new section. So generally what I would do is I would add the whiteboard into the left-hand side where you've got forwards, quick fires, topics, keyboard, or dashboard. But as I mentioned, you can add that in anywhere as the button. So to add that in, all I have to do to add that in is press the settings cog with the pencil. Okay. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see at the moment in the orange section, there's no available buttons. But all I have to do is scroll down. And now I have this section that has a broken white line around it in the surrounding part of the button and a plus sign in the middle. So what I'm going to do is press the plus button. Okay. Like any other button that I was editing a while ago, we've got our label, our message, and no symbol. But this time, I'm going to steer away from the label, message, and no symbol. And I'm going to go down underneath that. You'll see it says actions. And it says speak or insert message. So automatically, by default, anytime that I create a button, it automatically has this action that says speak or insert message, which basically means the button is going to speak for us. But in this case, we might not want that for the whiteboard. So we might want to delete that. We don't want it to say whiteboard when we press the whiteboard. We just want it to open up the whiteboard, which is a different page. So I'm going to delete that by simply going under the trash can that's below actions. Over on the right-hand side, we've got the word delete. And that's deleted that action. So what I want to do here now, to open up any whiteboard, I need to add the action of open up whiteboard. So I just go to add action. When I go to add action, there's lots of different actions here, okay? But what I would do to speed up the process is I can go to the little search bar that you'll see is on the right-hand side under choose an action. Over on the right, go to search for actions and just type in whiteboard. Okay. And here we now have the option to open up the whiteboard. So select open whiteboard. And that now has opened up, well, sorry, it hasn't opened up the whiteboard. It has put in text, label, message, and a symbol. And the action you'll see is open whiteboard. Okay, so that's now there for me. Now, what I might want to do is sometimes you might want to move it around, maybe move it somewhere else. So over on the right-hand side in the orange section, you'll see I've got that white button, open whiteboard. So what I can do now is I can click on that button and drag it up. So I'm just going to move it up in between keyboard and dashboard. Okay, and it's now there. And now what I'm going to do is when I'm finished editing, I'm going to press done, like I've been doing a while ago. Press done. And now you'll see over on the left-hand side, we've got open whiteboard. Okay, so to open up the whiteboard, all I have to do is press on that button. And here we have this new whiteboard feature. Okay, so to enter your, I suppose, your text or your images, or if you're drawing, you just very simply have to select your color down the bottom. So here I'm going to select blue, and then I can type. So for example, if I was using this for communication, I might use hello. Okay, so I'm typing in hello with my mouse. And obviously this is for touch devices, or if you're using a mouse on a computer as well. If I'm responding to the user, I can either obviously respond verbally, or I can respond using text on the keyboard as well. So I might need to change the color. Let's go red. Hi. Okay, so there we have a response. This could be just a quick introduction, okay? And then you could say, you know, for example, you know, how are you? So again, I can go back to blue. If I was speaking to, you know, apology, yeah, if I was speaking to someone, I can say, how are you? Now it's very hard to do with a mouse, as we know, it's much easier to do when you're using touch on the screen itself. So how are you? Okay. And again, we can respond back, change that to yellow and say, good. Okay. Or I could even, you know, combine that and I could go back. So I could say, how are you? And I could combine that, go back to quick fires, and I can say, I'm good.
Good.
Because you could use this as well, this whiteboard separately. If you had another device, you could have it on the whiteboard on one screen maybe, and your communication device on another screen then with those quick fires to respond, I'm good, for example. Okay. The great feature about this as well is, for example, maybe I want to show a picture about myself. We're talking and, we want to show pictures. So what I can do is down the bottom right-hand corner, I can add the image. And I can take a photo with my device, or I can pick a photo from my device. So I have one from earlier, pick that one. Here we have that image, and here I have that photo. So I can enlarge that if I want. So I can make that bigger or smaller, move it around, and then I can drop it where I want. So I can say, this is me, for example. So me, and an arrow. Okay, so that's how we can use it for our communication. So this is the whiteboard. You can keep the whiteboards basically as well. So it could be, weeks later, okay, and we're after creating those new whiteboards by selecting new whiteboard on the left-hand side. And maybe we want to go back. So we want to actually talk again about when we met Michael. So click on that. Here we have that. Do you remember you met Michael a few weeks ago? You were telling him, I asked him how he was. He showed you a picture of himself and so on and so forth. So that's how we can use that for another method of communication. And we can also do it in the sense that, for example, we could be out in the park, take a photo of the slide or the swings, someone's favorite, I suppose toys, for example, and then we can talk about those toys. And we can always come back a few weeks later and we can talk about it again. So we can even add more text. Again, I can add more text. I can change the color. You can see I can underline hello, hi, for example. So we can change the color. We can edit the existing ones that we have. And if we want to get rid of that, all we have to do is simply press delete up the top right-hand corner. And that deletes our whiteboard very simply. Okay, delete. And the whiteboard is gone then as well. So we can delete all our whiteboards and start from scratch again if we like to. So that is our whiteboard feature. And as I mentioned, you can add that to any page set. And you can put it on any button as well. So it doesn't matter where we are. We could have it here on the left-hand side where I put it, or you could even go to core words and personal, add it in there, for example. We can go to topics and put it in the topic. So it doesn't really matter. I suppose you can add it where you feel it's specific to a specific scenario. So it could be the park again, for example, and you could add it to the park topic. Okay, so that is your whiteboard. So the last thing I wanted to cover today was how we put our devices into dedicated communication mode. Okay, so we sell the AAC devices, the i110, which is a Windows device, and the SC tablet and the SC tablet mini, which are iOS-based devices, iPads. Okay, so the i110 is a dedicated communication device, and that has dedicated speakers at the back that are designed for speech. Okay, so they're amplified, they're louder than your average iPad speaker, for example, and they're at the back, so they're facing out, so that when I'm communicating, my voice is amplified outwards to the other person, rather than what we're used to with an iPad. The sound comes towards us for entertainment and Spotify and YouTube and things like that. So with the i110, it's designed in a way for communication. But what we need to do to ensure that the communication software is dedicated on the device is we need to change some settings. Okay, so up the top right-hand corner of any Windows device, basically, on your TD Snap software, you have the settings cog with the pencil, which I showed you a second ago. So up here again, we're going to go up here, and I'm going to simply press the settings cog with the pencil. Down the bottom of the screen, you're going to see button, page, page set, user, and system. Well, what I'm going to click here is system. Okay, so I'm going to change some system settings. So clicking on system, the first thing that shows up is use passcode. Okay, so we might want to put a passcode on it for two reasons. Firstly, the device could be in the bag, for example, on the way home from school and it wasn't turned off, the screen is on. Maybe books are going to touch against it or objects in the bag will touch against it. And all of a sudden buttons are being deleted or moved around. Okay, so we might want to put a passcode on the software to stop that from happening. Second reason is because we don't want the user to get into the settings or change buttons around themselves manually, editing buttons, deleting buttons, or even getting out of the software, going onto YouTube or going on to, the internet and things like that. So we want to stop all that. So we'll firstly put a passcode on the device. So that's your first option, use passcode. So over on the right-hand side, the first circle with the black dot, we're just going to press that to turn that on, and it asks me for a passcode. So I can put in 0000 as my passcode. And it then asks me to verify that passcode. So I'm just going to 0000 again. So everything is now turned on. You'll see here now on the right-hand side. So that's the first option, and that's your passcode. The second option, you'll see then down near the end, you'll see screen setting, and you'll see full screen mode. Now, this option, if anyone has an SC tablet on front of them or any iPad with the software, you won't have full screen mode option, okay? And the reason being is because TD Snap software or any app, when you open it up on an iPad, is already on full screen mode. But the difference is you'll see on a Windows device, much like my computer here now, you can see the desktop toolbar and you probably can see the PowerPoint, you can see the Outlook, you can see the internet, and you can see the TD Snap icon, okay? So it's very easy for me to press the internet. All of a sudden, I'm on the internet, I'm on YouTube, or I'm surfing the web, so on and so forth. So we want to stop that from happening. So if I turn full screen mode on a Windows device, you'll see my desktop toolbar has disappeared. So now what that does is it takes up the full screen. The software now has taken up all of my screen. I'm locked into my software and I can't get out. So the last thing to do is press the word done up the top right-hand corner, go back to communication mode. So you'll see now the software has taken up the full screen on my device. And now if I try to get back into editing, if I press the settings cog with a pencil, it's now asking me for the passcode. So there's no way of me getting out of the software and, changing things around, editing buttons, deleting buttons, or even going onto the internet and so on and so forth. So the only way I can get into my edit mode or settings is clicking the settings cog with the pencil, clicking on 0000. I put in my passcode. I go down to system down the bottom. I can turn off the passcode here now if I want, and I can turn off full screen mode, bringing the desktop toolbar back again. So maybe the only times I need to have it where full screen mode is turned off is if I'm, going on the internet to, maybe get pictures for the device, or even, making edits to the software, or even doing updates on the device as well. So they're the only kind of reasons why I would do that as such. Okay. So that is your Windows device. If anyone here is using an SC tablet or an iOS iPad, basically, you still have the first option, which is use passcode. You can still put a passcode on the settings. But if you want to stop someone from getting out of the software, you need to put on what's called passcode settings. Okay, so that's in your guided access passcode settings. Okay, and that'll be found in your settings of your iPad. So it's not in the software TD Snap, it's actually in the iPad settings. Okay, so we need to go to the iPad settings. You need to go to accessibility, and you need to go to guided access. There you will see an option to toggle the on and off for guided access. And you will also see passcode settings where you can put in your passcode. So, that depends on what passcode you're putting in. And then you put in your passcode. Once that's done, then you're basically just going back to the software you want to put passcode settings on for or guided access on for. And you're pressing the home button 3 times. And what I'll do anyway is after the webinar and the follow-up email, I can include the Apple, instructions on how to put on the guided access itself. But it's basically a case of to activate the guided access, we have to press the home button 3 times on the iPad, and then you're locked into the software. Now, just bear in mind, if you have someone who has a tendency to keep putting in the passcode wrong, you could lock the iPad as well. So just be wary of that if you do have someone who's going to put in the passcode settings, passcode incorrectly lots of times, you lock the iPad and you will need to unlock it then using a different device. Okay, so that is the guided access on the iPad. So they're the 2 ways of creating or, making it a dedicated communication software, whether it's on the iOS device or the Windows device. So what I'm going to do now is just go back to the slides. Okay, just in relation to resources as well. Okay, so my colleague Ishita, who's on the webinar as well, she is going to pop in a few links here now in a few minutes as well, just into the Q&A section. She's basically going to put in links to extra resources. Okay, so TD Snap resources, how, the online videos that we have a webinar series on our YouTube channel, which is available. So that'll just be, I suppose, extra information around that. There's the Pathways app, which I won't go into today in detail, but it's basically an app for the communication partner, and it shows people how to use TD Snap. And there's training cards and materials available online as well. Okay, so for anyone who maybe, who's here today who hasn't used TD Snap, you can get a free trial of TD Snap as well. Now, it says 30 days here, but at the moment, it is actually a 60-day free trial. So you can download a 60-day free trial. The instructions are here on the screen, but we'll also include the link as well in the Q&A section. I think Shita might have included them already for us. Okay, so they'll be in the Q&A section on how to start a 60-day free trial. And finally then, the last thing here is the Toby Box for professionals. So for anyone here today who is a professional speech and language therapist, a teacher, or an occupational therapist, for example, who wants to use the software for, I suppose, assessment purposes, you can get a professional license. And again, we're going to put the links in for the professional license for you as well. Okay, and that will all be in the email afterwards, and also hopefully there we'll put them in the Q&A section there now in a few seconds for you as well. Okay, so that is pretty much TD Snap in a nutshell of what I wanted to cover today for you.